I'm going live. Here's Katie. Oops.
Now you're live.
I just took, good morning, everybody. Hey. So I just took my mask off so that I can. All right. And I look like I may not have my top on, so I'm going to drop that screen a little bit. I'm not quite used to this particular computer, so y'all are going to have to bear with me. I'm used to a different environment at home. And if y'all want to, you can just put your last initial. That way, you can have a little more privacy if you would like. Indicate your course of study that the school that you're in, and first name, last initial, and we will get going here. We're going to enter a tougher little chapter here in a little bit. I am still 5 minutes out, so I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to clock in, and then we will have a few announcements, and then we'll get going. My regrowth is showing, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. We are in the school. So far, so good. Everyone is fresh and doing pretty good for the first time. It's a little strange. We are going to be doing histology, those great big words, those great big chapter with stratum lucidum and granulosum and the basal layer and all of that good stuff. So I will, like I said, I'll give y'all a few more minutes. It's only 8:56. I have a tendency to just start come in here a little bit earlier to make sure my computer is up and running and that that it's moving the way it should. You will need some paper and pen. Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. Woo! Traffic was a breeze. Can y'all tell me if you're picking up the speaker from the outside of the building, outside the building door here? Let me know. I don't want the music to be too loud. I haven't tried this inside the school before. Hopefully, we're not picking up any outside noise from this room. Okay, thank you, Kayla. Okay, perfect. I do have a shirt on, but this camera, I'm not used to it. Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I taught my daughter how to tan safely. Get out 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 20 minutes on one side of your body, 20 minutes on the other side of the body every day before the hot sun. And then you can not burn, and it'll gradually deepen. I know my estheticians are saying, shame on you, Wendi. Yes, it's the only time. It's really the only vice I have, guys. I just love that tanning and that sun. Oh, my mother just, my mother gets on to me all the time. If y'all will pardon me one moment, I'm gonna just shout out to Katie real quick. Jeremy, is Katie handy? Okay, in a little bit, ask her to come this direction. Okay, we're getting a lot of participation here. That's good. I'll go over our new system and procedure. We're still at only 8:59, so drink your coffee, hug your babies at home for a minute. One thing about this chapter, y'all will get this chapter completed, and it will be done, and it's a toughie, and you will feel fantastic on your written exam after going through this. I'll be teaching you all week on this chapter, getting it all done and organized. As you probably know or didn't know, Joanna had surgery, and she'll be recovering a couple of weeks. So I will be doing the live presentations and getting y'all through it. Glad to see y'all. Let's see, we're at 9 o'clock now. Doing good. Everyone's got their masks on here in the school, and we've got a nice little handful. I'm at the North Campus right now today. And Demaya, I think we finally got your books in. So it's been real slow. I guess due to distance learning, they've had a backup of all those textbooks. So it's been a bear getting them in a timely manner. Y'all are going to be learning how to be good little artists this week, doing some drawings of these layers of the skin and learning some big words. Those of you who English may be your second language, you may have to go back and re-watch the video if you need to, if I go too fast, or if you're unable to get the spelling. The video will be available for you to look through, but hopefully you can jot it down quick enough and we can go through it. It's going to be 1 hour of theory each day, which will be your 9 to 10, then your 12 to 1, and then your 3 to 4. If you can participate in all of those, fantastic. If you cannot, just do what you can. Grab as many of those clock hours as you can. The faster you do it, the faster you graduate, and the faster you get to go to board. So the assignments will follow, and this week it's going to be just a lot of diagrams and lots of drawings for repeat learning to help you understand and for memorization purposes. Histology, Sam, that's going to be our layers of the skin, and all courses are required to know this chapter. All of our nail techs, all of our estheticians, and all of our cosmetologists. So you will need to know these terms, and I will tell you, they'll grab you sometimes. This is a biggie, and so it's worth writing down all of your notes and getting this all down. And for today, I'm not going to do it on the wide erase board. I'm going to do it just like this so that you can get it down. It looks like we are at 9:02. We've got pretty great participation so far. I just saw another person check in. Just giving y'all another second. I'm going to try adjusting this light. Y'all tell me if the light looks better like that or like that. Which lighting is better for you? I'm just curious. Sometimes that fluorescent light can be too bright and maybe difficult to see. Other light? Okay. That's what Jeremy was thinking. Okay, since it's 9:03. Okay, good. Amy agrees. Some of you haven't met, and I can't wait to meet you guys. Those of you who are in my cosmetology course, I did send out at the bottom of that schedule that you will, that I will be teaching hair cutting next week at the South Campus for 2 weeks solid. If you are a hairstylist and you are a beginner student and you want to start on hair cutting, you will come off of distance learning those 2 weeks and join me. If not, you will wait until the 8-week rotation comes around and you'll do it then. My North Campus next week, if you're a brand new hairstylist, you're going to come in and do shampooing, blow drying, and draping at the North Campus. But remember, you'll need to be all on or all off. Reason for that is 32 hours will accommodate you in your distance learning. So you got 32 hours for distance learning, and then you've got 32 hours in the building. For those of you who don't understand, when you are on any form of financial aid, that can be in the form of a student loan or a Pell Grant, the school owners can get into a lot of trouble if a student is clocking way too many hours and then paying on those funds. We can get into a lot of trouble because we would owe a refund because we were paying too quick or too slow, etc. So those hours are crucial for us on our end to make sure that we are paying at proper times when we're supposed to. So that's a long story short. That would be a great question for Randy and Jeremy to answer, primarily Randy or Terry. So that's the reason why sometimes it's limited up to 32. You can kind of go a little bit more, but right now with distance learning and such, we want to make sure that everything is a little bit smooth. So that's to answer that question. So distance learning is Monday through Friday, giving you 32 hours. And then on building attendance is 32 hours, Tuesday through Friday. If you're attending part-time, just maintain that part-time attendance so you don't lose your funding. That's extremely important. You want to be able to keep the funding intact. And if it does go, the wrong way and goes south and you're not attending that much and your attendance drops off, you'll be notified by Jeremy or Randy or Terry and put on probation to get that going and get it back up again. Okay, so we're going to start. Histology is going to be this entire week. Now, very, very important. Want to make sure everyone has heard me clearly. There's one small change. We realize that trying to come into the building to take a test is going to be a nightmare of people coming in and out. So in lieu of the 2 hours, for 2 additional hours during the week, you will put together a project for the end of the chapter, and you can work on that. It'll be due Friday at 5 o'clock. When I come back at the, 12 to 1 hour, I'll give you an example of what that project would look like. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started on some notes. But that in lieu of the 2 hours, you can just send us a picture of your completed project. And you can work on that at home at night. You can work on it whenever. So that would be your 2 additional hours that would be accrued for that project. Does that make sense to everybody, I hope? I think it would just be very difficult to have people coming in and out of the building. And we had to find a way to give you a grade. The grade is a requirement when you are on financial aid. Financial aid, satisfactory academic progress, that's SAP. People who go to UT, people who go to ACC, people who go to any types of schools, they actually require you to have a grade of a 70 or above, and they actually require you to have 66 and 2/3% of the clock hours. So attendance has to be good and grade has to be good in order for Randy to disperse funds to you. Otherwise, we do get in trouble. So we're going to give you a grade for participation, but the extra 2 hours will just be a project. It won't be online or anything like that. So I hope that sounds good to you. We all kind of brainstormed about that in our last meeting and came up with that. Okay, so let's get started. The first words that we want to write down, the first thing we want to write down is the integumentary system. So integumentary system is another term for the word skin. So it's the system of the skin. It's just learning about the skin, integumentary. And one thing that you need to put down on your paper is that it's the largest organ of the body. Now, if you're sitting at a computer or what I would advise you to do to take notes, if you're faster at typing, which I am, than handwriting, then you could be looking at your cell phone and have a laptop at the same time, and you could just be typing up all these notes to keep them. So that's something you can do. Or if it goes too fast, you can also take a picture of the screen, and then you've got the notes there. So if anything goes too fast, you've got what you need. So integumentary system is the skin. You're going to see that word integumentary on your written exam, so you need to know what that means. And then If it is just remember, it is the largest organ of the body. There is a question on there that the brain is the largest organ and the skin. Hopefully those two answers are both not available on that written exam. Hopefully it's one or the other, because that has been a little bit misleading and difficult. So hopefully y'all know some shorthand and y'all are getting these notes kind of quick here. I'm going to move to the next paper. If anyone has questions, y'all can certainly write in the chat box. Yes, that would be fine, Connie. We're just going to do a notebook check, so that's fine. The next thing is that the skin has a strong barrier that's designed to protect us from outside elements. We're going to talk about the barrier. The barrier, for people who have been in my cosmetology class or esthetician class prior notes, is basically an acid mantle that I'll give you notes for in just a moment. So again, the skin has a strong barrier. You can just write down strong barrier designed to protect us from the outside elements. Believe it or not, sebum, which is oil from the skin, actually is one of the elements that actually help protect our skin from outside elements. It's part of that mixture in our barrier. Okay. The skin also contains millions of cells. So millions. We have 8 feet of blood vessel and 32 feet of nerves. I don't think you'll see this on these particular facts on your state board. The next segment that I'll be going over will be more of some of the state board related material, but this is interesting facts. So we, again, built millions of cells, 8 feet of blood vessels, and 32 feet of nerves. And when you're taking notes, they're going to be sloppy, but they're your notes, and that's okay. Another important thing is that the skin actually has that barrier protection that protects us from microorganisms. So that barrier is going to keep and prevent microorganisms and harmful bacteria entering into the skin. So it's another little fact. Protection from microorganisms. Or you cannot just put protection from germs. A microorganism has 2 other terms, a germ or a microbe or a microorganism. And there's been a lot of talk about that with the COVID virus. So that barrier that we're talking about, we've learned in other chapters, is called the acid mantle. You will actually see this on your state board exam. The acid mantle is our barrier that protects the skin. And it's made of sebum, sweat, hopefully y'all can see that, and water called hydrolypidic film. I'll hold that a little bit longer since it's a little more verbiage there. So why it's called the acid mantle, I'm not real sure where that mantle portion comes from, but acid means lower in pH. Alkaline would refer to a base, and we'll be talking about that chapter for those of you. There's some of you who've already gone through that full chapter on distance learning, so you've heard all of that before. So you won't miss a beat. We'll be going through acid versus alkaline when we go through the chemistry chapter, which is a really short, quick little chapter for our industry. But acid mantle is our barrier protection of the skin. And what you need to know is that the acid mantle, the pH of the acid mantle is 4.5 to 5.5. So super important that you get that jotted down. Typically on one of the exams, it will give you the option of just 4.5, and you will select that answer. But if it does have 4.5 dash or hyphenated, make sure you answer this one. So 4.5 to 5.5 is just below 7, which is neutral. So this is going to be a very, very nice low acid acidic pH level. And this actually is for the hair, the skin, and the nails. So on the nail examination, if they say, what is the pH of the nails, the acid mantle of the nails, that would be the same thing, 4.5 to 5.5. So when we talked about that sebum and sweat being comprised as part of the barrier function, or the barrier, function. Well, a lipid, so in between the layers, we're getting real close in our next segment to talk about these different layers of the skin. There's 5 layers in just the first major layer of the skin. So in between those layers, in between those little cells and those layers are lipids. And that is they are helpful in the barrier protection or the acid mantle. So we could basically essentially say the barrier is also the acid mantle of 4.5 to 5.5. That's going to even protect from some microbes. Am I going too fast? I can go through them all again in just a little bit if y'all need. Let me see what time it is. Now, some other additional facts. Now, a square inch. A square inch is about the size of a quarter. Okay, good. Thank you. So in 1/4 size of our skin, basically, which is a small little section, and we have a huge body, don't we? We have about 650 sweat glands, 100 oil glands, 65 hairs coming from that square inch approximately, and 1,300 nerve endings. We'll be talking about a lot of those different nerve endings. There are lots of tactile nerve receptors that we'll be talking about. So again, these are some factoids. If I were to guess on the test that they will ask us anything on these right here, it would be the 65 hairs from the square inch on the written exam. Again, the next portion that we talk about, almost everything will be on there, and you'll need to be prepared writing those notes down. But these are some wonderful little factoids just to realize how amazing our bodies are, that we have that many sweat glands, that we have that cool our body, that we have that many oil glands that supply sebum and lubrication to our skin that keeps us soft and supple, and that we have that many hair coming from each square inch all over our body. Can also, the lanugo hair, which is our downy hair on our face, that includes that includes the underarm hair, that includes everything. So we're really amazing creatures. And 1,300 nerve endings, that's a lot. No wonder we're all so emotional, right? Well, it's not just emotion, but it's hot, it's cold, it's pressure, it's touch, it's pain, all of that stuff. So there's something called the EGF. This is our epidermal growth factor. This is a fairly new term that you will see that has entered the textbooks. So hormones, it's abbreviated EGF, our epidermal growth factor, helps to stimulate the skin cells to reproduce and heal the skin quickly from any types of injury. So hormones take a role in helping us heal quick. So that's a new little term. can just sort of abbreviate some of this just for your own note taking. Some things are more important to others, and you know, some people like to get every word and some people like to get half, and some people like to do shorthand. So there's also this thing, estheticians especially, there's these, they look like little splattered goblins, and they are throughout the skin, and they're known as fibroblasts. And what they really are proteins, and they help stimulate the cells, and so that we can quickly repair the skin when there's an injury. So they are called fibroblasts. I'll be showing you images of what those look like as we move through the week. But they are actually a protein. So if you just want to write down your paper that a fibroblast is a protein that aids in repairing the skin, then you can put this down in your own words. Everyone learns a little different, and sometimes you got to wrap the sentence around a little different. You'll be very surprised how much your dermatologist will be extremely impressed with you when you go in for your skin checks. Now, this term right here, melanin, you will all see this term, melanin. So melanin is produced by melanocytes, and we'll get that word down later. But melanin is our coloring matter for the eyes, the skin, and the hair. And the melanin is actually designed to help protect us from give us some protection from the UV rays that come from the sun. So melanin is the iris of the eyes, the color, the skin color, and the hair color. Now we looked at how many nerves there were throughout the body, and these are nerve fibers. So the nerve fibers that we were talking about, I think it was 13 or 1500 nerve fibers, are found all over the skin that affect our body functions, such as cold and touch and pain and heat and pressure. One of the things that you probably want to know for your board is the last part, is that the fingertips are the most abundant in our sensory nerves. So the fingertips are the most abundant. I definitely think that will be one of your state board questions. It's worthy of jotting down. Now, each one of those nerve fibers for cold, touch, pain, heat, and pressure, they are all identified by a certain term, and we will be going through that. That gets kind of confusing, and we're going to take it slow for right now. No, you do not, Kayla. But just remember, fingertips is most abundant in body temperature. Most everyone knows that our body temperature registers approximately at 98.6. It maintains thermoregulation through the evaporation from perspiration, and also insulation. We were doing our using the touchless thermometer here at the school this morning. So you just need to write down that body temperature is 98.6. No problem, Emily. Feel better? The skin is very absorbent. And one of the vitamin D is one that it's definitely absorbed and produced in the skin when we have exposure to the sun. For those of you who didn't know, a lot of times people will tell you, or I've been told, that absorption of vitamin D from the sun actually happens through the belly. So if you have a swimsuit that covers the belly, then you won't be getting as much vitamin D as you think you would. I might have to do a little Google research on that, but that is a little factoid. Our next one you definitely need to know for your state board. And that word fibrous, you might want to jot that down for people. Maybe English is your second language. I don't know why they want to stick that term in there just to add some more verbiage, but keratin. Keratin is a fibrous protein. I would hate for someone to go, well, I don't know, Wendi never said fibrous protein. It's just to make it more elaborate. So keratin is a fibrous protein substance. It actually comprises 90% of the epidermis. Now, remember, we're going to be talking about the epidermis, which is 5 layers of epidermis. And so as, I'll put this back up again in a minute, as that keratin reaches the surface, you'll hear some people say keratinization, and you'll hear some people say keratinized. The textbook shows keratinization, but that term is pronounced vocally very different from person to person. So, but as the keratin reaches the top layer, it's hardened. And when it's so hard and it's reached the outermost layer, and then it becomes hair, nails, hooves, and feathers. And that is hard keratin. So keratin is found throughout the epidermis layers. It is a fibrous protein, makes up 95% of the epidermis. And when it's completely hardened, examples would be, again, hair, nails, hooves, and feathers. Yeah, it's crazy. When you think about like a ram and his horns, or goat, it is crazy. You're going to hear this term, especially estheticians. Cornea sites. It's a term that when that keratin hardens and it gradually rises to the top layer of the epidermis. So it might be keratinized, or it might be, you might see the verbiage, it's corneocytes that are reaching the top layer. So that's an additional term right there that has to do with keratin reaching the top surface and hardening. So it's probably a new one. Yeah, it really is neat, Victoria. I'm in agreement. Yesterday, Randy was outside and he noticed way up in the top tall tree, there was this huge crane. You know, those like egrets that hang around ponds? And she had 3 babies in there. And I said, Randy, those can't be babies, but their necks are so long. I just love the interestingness of animals and the decorativeness of hard keratin, but their beaks are real long and just cool. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, which is pretty cool. So cornea sites. That's when the keratin is hardened all the way up to the surface, and it's beginning that keratinized or keratinized protein. So as we go along here, the epidermis has approximately 15 to 20 layers of epidermis. What you need to stress or underline is the outermost layer right here is actually the stratum corneum, which we will write down later, because there are many layers of epidermis, but the outermost one is truly the epidermis, also known as the stratum corneum, and I'll have that written down for you later. And that outermost layer, especially my estheticians and nail technicians, it's known as squamous keratinized cells. So it's cornea site, it's keratinized, it's hooves, it's feathers, it's horns, it's nails, it's all keratinized, and it basically is wrapped up into one thing. It's hardened protein. Hopefully that makes sense. Only 2 more pages of notes. Y'all should be happy. Okay. So on a test, hairstylists, nail technicians, hair and nails, you will answer yes. They are appendages. That means an extension of. So hair and nails are appendages of the skin. Like our hand is an appendage of our arm. So hair and nails are appendages of the skin. And state board, y'all get this down. Hair grows the average of 1/60th of an inch per month. And is 90% hard keratin. I'm sure that will be a state board question right there. And then finally, nails grow 1/10 of an inch per month. And the technical term for the nail is onyx. And some of you have heard that when we did the diseases, but for my brand new people who have not been through that chapter rotation yet, the technical term is onyx. So nails grow 1/10 of an inch per month. The technical term is onyx. And y'all take just a second. I need to get Katie to send y'all something by email. One moment. I put on there Histology day 1, 9 a.m. You can come in here. Okay, pardon me, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna just sort of read. This is Katie. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so Katie's going to send you your assignment, which is going to be super easy. I'm going to give you a look at it. Now, let's see. I want to put I want to make sure I get the new Gmail. I'm sorry. I'm awake, but I'm not quite awake. Okay, it's BBS. Distance learning. And then I need you to do the roll call over here. I mean, Gmail. Can you hear me now? Woo! Thank you. I'm so glad we had the chat. Air hugs. Woo! Okay. I think I have it off now.
It's off now.
Okay. Sorry about that. So you will be turning in your assignment, and that assignment's going to go to the in the chat. It's going to go to bbsdistancelearning@gmail.com, and you will turn these assignments in. Katie is getting ready to ship it to your email right now, and I'm going to give you a little example of what it is. It's going to look like this. All you're going to do is, let me do one at a time. You're going to draw this and label these words so that when we talk about these, and I give you information about all these in the next segment, and draw these images. This is just the first layer of the skin, the epidermis. By writing this and drawing this, you are memorizing very tough words that are can be very difficult. Sometimes people like to put a piece of paper over their screen and then trace over their computer screen, and you can get a nice diagram by doing it that way. Larger the better for your understanding and for learning purposes. And then you can leave this later if you want to. If you have a printer, you can print it out, or you can just take notes at our next segment. The next one that you'll do, there are 3 diagrams, so only 3 for you to do for the hour credit. The other one looks like this. And we're going to be dissecting and talking about each one of these parts so I can give you clear definitions about each one, because it is a lot of structures to the human skin. So that's our second one. And then this image looks a little bit different from the very first one I gave you. It looks like this. And it also has another term. So just drawing these different ones is going to help and be impactful for you to remember these layers, because again, you're going to be needing to know them for your state exam in all of our courses. So all three, yes, Vicki. So all those so only what we assign you and send to your email. So these 3 are for your 11 to 12, 10 to 11. Schedule has changed. 10 to 11 assignment. You're going to draw these, keep them, take a picture of them. We're going to send them all in at 5 o'clock. That way we have one bundle. We can check your hours and give you the hours. No notes at all. Just these assignments, just these pictures, drawing them. If you would color them a little bit and spend some time on them, that would be wonderful. But again, if you've never traced from a computer screen, it's really kind of easy. My daughter does that. She puts the image, puts a blank piece of paper on top of the screen, and then she just uses a pen or a pencil, and then she draws over the screen and gets a nice little picture if you're not very good at drawing. Yes, Christy, so our schedule is going to be, there was an email sent out. That's okay. You'll catch on. Everyone's getting used to the new schedule. So 9 to 10 o'clock, I'll teach you. 10 to 11 is this assignment today. Katie's emailing it now. Then I'll see you again from 12 to 1, and then another little assignment. And then 3 to 4, I will teach you. And then 4 to 5. I may be awfully generous and nice here in a little bit at the next segment to just give you the rest of the assignments so that you could work on them even between time if you have like a little more of a break or something. So it's just hard for y'all to sit and listen to this all day long. So I hope this schedule's work was just kind of a trial, and we're crossing our fingers this is going to work good for everyone. So Katie, how's your email going?
I sent it to North and South. Now I just have to send it out to a couple people.
Okay, so Katie has sent it to both campus locations. You can get started on this. You're going to take a picture of it. You're going to hold it till 5. If for some reason this is the only time you're going to be with me today, then go ahead and send it to that Gmail now, and I'll know that you were only able to be with us from 9 to 11 today. If you are going to continue to be with us for the next segment between 12 and 2, then don't send it yet because you got more. And then if you're going to be with us from the 3 to the 5, don't send it. Just send it all in one bulk. And then we don't have to catch all these different assignments, and we'll just have them all at one time. So the best way to learn this material is really by writing it, drawing it, and doing it over and over. So if you do have any questions, I'm just a text away, and so is Katie, and we can help clarify. So just to reiterate real quick for those of you who may have just come in the last minute or something, we got the integumentary system known as the skin. It's the largest organ of the body. We have that wonderful protection called a barrier, or also known as our acid mantle. It protects us from microbes and germs. Miss a page? No, okay. The skin has millions of cells. We have 8 feet of blood vessels. We have 32 feet of nerve endings. Again, we protect from, our skin is protected from microorganisms. That acid mantle that we talked about, that acid mantle is 4.5 to 5.5 for hair, skin, and nails. It's very acidic. So anything harsh that comes into contact with our skin doesn't like it. That mantle is comprised of sebum, sweat, and water. And that water is called a hydrolipidic film on the skin. That comes from lipids. Those lipids are right in between the cellular layers of all those little epidermis layers. Again, 4.5 to 5.5. So these lipids contribute to the barrier protection, and they're found between the epidermal layers. We have approximately 650 sweat glands in an inch of skin. We'll be drawing those today. 100 oil glands in a square inch, a tiny quarter size. 65 hairs from 1 square inch. 1,300 nerve endings, predominantly on our fingertips. We have a hormone that helps with our epidermal growth factor to stimulate skin cells and to help us heal and reproduce cells quicker that might come from injury. We have these protein substances, there's these little splats, and these little splats, I'll show you a picture later, they are fibroblasts. They help with cell stimulation and repairing the skin quicker and faster. We have melanin, coloring of our irises of our eyes, our skin, and our hair. This was designed so that our bodies can be protected from UV rays from the sun and give us some protection. Nerve fibers, and these are touch receptors. They're called Merkel cells and dendrites and desmosomes and all these other things we're going to learn. Again, fingertips have the most abundant sensory nerves. Got a body temperature of 98.6. That'll be a state board question. Should be kind of one of those things we all should kind of know. But thank goodness we do have a body temperature that's maintained through our sweat and evaporation of the skin. Remember, the skin is very absorbent. Vitamin D is absorbed from the sun. Keratin, that fibrous protein substance that is comprised of 95% of all those little layers we're going to learn about. Hard keratin, hooves, feathers, nails, hair. And when it reaches the top of it, it's keratinized. And then we call those little cells that are making its way to the very top outermost layer of the skin, known as the stratum corneum. Those are Cornea Sites. We've got 15 to 20 layers, little bitty scale-like, fish-like layers of epidermis. And when we get to the very, very top, remember those squamous keratinized or keratinized. Again, textbook shows keratinized. They are flat. So you might want to make make a notation that they are flattened squamous cells. And that's those dead cells that are flaking off. So hair and nails, remember, they are appendages. So when you see that word, you want to answer true or yes. Hair and nails are appendages of the skin. Hair grows at 1/60th of an inch per month and comprised of 90% hard keratin. Nails growth, 1/10 of an inch per month. And the technical term is Onyx. Should be a good little review there. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to, get those hours, right? Let's see here. You're going to do we're going to turn off the live here at 11 o'clock. You're going to get those done just sometime between now and 5 o'clock, because you're going to turn them all in whenever it's good for you. And then I'm going to leave this chat on, because technically in the 2-hour timing, you get a 15-minute break. So I'm going to leave this on so that Katie can do a nice little roll call for me. So please do not get off just yet. You can take your break. You can start looking at your images that were sent to you that look like this for your assignment for your next hour credit. And they are coloring a little bit with a map color or something, if you could. And we're going to get your hours down. So let's go ahead and give me another sign off, just so I know that you're here. And I know a couple people had to leave not feeling well. So if you could just do that for me. And then we are going to see you again at 12. Oh, Lynn, you haven't got, oh, you got it. Okay. We are going to see you again at 12. I'm sorry, I'm getting used to the new schedule. So from 12 to 1, I'm going to be with you again. We're going to go through those notes. You'll have your pen and paper ready, and y'all are going to be proficient and ready to power through the skin layers and such. So I am excited for y'all to get this chapter behind you. And so just stay on with me till 10. You can start looking at your email and just get that done by 5 anytime. Hope this schedule is working out for you. Anyone who's a brand new student, if you're just in the area, you might even want to call and ask if you could come up and get a fingerprint, so we can get that fingerprint established, so that if you do jump into the school one week, let's say next week you just want to come to the school and do building attendance. Well, you can do that, and you'll have your fingerprint already ready. But it'd be nice to maybe just call and let someone know that you want to come in, that Wendi suggested that if you're in the neighborhood and you want to just jot in, maybe you're running to get a drink or some lunch or something like that, and you're close to the campus running an errand, it might be great for you to come in if you've never had a thumbprint for clocking hours, and that will be taken care of, and you can just walk in and be ready for class without little to no interruption. So I'm going to put you on mute right now. Love you guys, and I look forward to seeing y'all at 12.